In this video, I'll reveal the spending strategy my clients wish they had started retirement with, and why how you spend your money matters more than investment returns alone. Through working with retirees who have implemented flexible spending approaches versus those who use static withdrawal strategies, I've discovered that dynamic spending often delivers better outcomes and less stress than rigid budgeting approaches. That's exactly why I'm making this video today, to show you the adaptive spending strategy that keeps retirees financially secure decades longer than traditional withdrawal methods. So let's get right into it. A big mistake I see in retirement planning is when people lock themselves into a static withdrawal strategy like the 4% rule. It's the idea that you can take 4% and simply withdraw that amount every year in retirement, adjusting for inflation no matter what's happening around you. The problem here isn't necessarily the math. The problem here is the rigidity. A static plan assumes that markets move in a straight line. It assumes that inflation is going to be predictable. It assumes your tax situation is never going to change. But retirement doesn't work that way. Markets don't stay the same. They swing between periods of growth and recession, high inflation and low inflation, and a static withdrawal plan completely ignores all of that. There's no flexibility. It's a fixed rule that gets applied to a world and your plan that's anything but fixed. Another thing I found in working with my clients is that personal circumstances shift just as much as the markets do. Health, goals, taxes, your income sources, all of that evolves over time. But a static withdrawal strategy simply can't respond. It can't optimize taxes. It can't coordinate with your Social Security timing. It can't adjust to the changing risk environments. It just stays the same. Dynamic planning, especially using a guardrails-based withdrawal strategy, gives retirees permission to adjust based on what the data says their portfolio can support. Not based on market mood swings, not based on fear, but based on statistically valid guardrails that tell you when you're still on track and when something truly might need to change. It's a smarter, more flexible system rather than locking yourself into a rigid plan that only works in a perfect world. Static withdrawals create problems, but the dynamic spending strategy adapts to market conditions and your personal circumstances. If static withdrawals lock you into a rigid number, dynamic spending does the complete opposite. It gives you a framework that adapts as reality changes. And the key is that it doesn't rely on emotional decisions or market guessing. It relies on data. And here's what that actually means. Instead of basing spending on whether the market is up or down, we focus on how your portfolio is expected to perform under a range of economic conditions. Periods of growth, slowdowns, higher inflation, calmer markets, and everything in between. This analysis creates a set of guardrails for your spending. As long as your portfolio stays within those guardrails, your spending is considered sustainable. If it drifts towards the lower guardrail, there's a signal to make a small adjustment. And if it moves towards the upper guardrail, the plan may allow for increased spending, but only if doing so keeps your long-term retirement goals on track. So, rather than reacting to market headlines, retirees are adjusting based on whether the math and the data says they're still on track. This approach also helps address one of the biggest risks in retirement, sequence of returns risk. Early market declines can do far more damage than declines later in retirement. A guardrail strategy monitors this by preventing overspending in periods where the portfolio's long-term probabilities start to shift. And psychologically, this approach reduces stress. Instead of wondering, is this number still safe? Retirees know exactly when their plan might need some adjustment. In short, a dynamic spending strategy gives retirees something that static withdrawal plans can't: flexibility, clarity, and peace of mind. Dynamic spending optimizes market response, but tax bracket coordination is also very important in this strategy. One of the biggest advantages of a dynamic retirement plan is that it doesn't just react to markets, it also adapts to your tax situation, which can have an even bigger impact on your long-term retirement income. Static withdrawal strategies completely ignore this. They pull the same amount every year, which often pushes retirees into higher tax brackets, triggers unnecessary Medicare premiums, or causes more of their Social Security to be taxed. So, in other words, Static plans are potentially leaving a lot of money on the table for retirees. But with a dynamic spending strategy, you gain the flexibility to coordinate withdrawals around your specific tax situation. So here's how that works. Because withdrawals aren't fixed, you can adjust when and where you take income so that you stay inside the most optimal tax bracket each year. That might mean filling lower brackets with strategic IRA withdrawals or shifting income sources depending on what your tax plan supports. It can also mean that you coordinate withdrawals with Roth conversions during lower income years, and those conversions can greatly reduce your total lifetime tax bill. Dynamic planning also lets you manage income around Medicare IRMAA thresholds and Social Security taxation rules. A small difference in taxable income can mean thousands of dollars in additional costs. But with coordinated planning, you can avoid these penalties and keep more of your benefits intact. This level of tax coordination is incredibly valuable because these savings aren't guaranteed. Markets can go up or down, but tax efficiency delivers a consistent and measurable return every single year. When retirees optimize their tax brackets, preserve benefits, and reduce unnecessary income-related costs, they often end up with more spendable income, even without increasing their total withdrawal. That's the power of aligning dynamic spending with smart tax planning. It turns your tax situation into an asset instead of an obstacle, and it creates a foundation of efficiency that compounds for decades. Now that you understand tax bracket coordination, if you need help with your retirement planning, click the link below where our team has created a comprehensive video that shows you exactly how to plan your dream retirement given your specific situation. Another major advantage of a dynamic retirement plan is that it lets you coordinate where your withdrawals come from. Many people withdraw money each year from whatever account feels convenient at the time. But random withdrawals can easily push you into higher tax brackets. It can increase those Medicare premiums we've talked about and reduce your Social Security benefits. It can also shrink the amount of tax advantage growth your portfolio can produce over time. A strategic plan does the opposite. A great starting strategy here is to consider drawing from taxable accounts first. This allows your tax-deferred and tax-free accounts to keep compounding for as long as possible. It also creates naturally lower income years early in retirement, and these years open the door for extremely valuable planning opportunities. One of those opportunities is delaying Social Security. Waiting until full retirement age or even up to age 70 provides guaranteed increases in your monthly benefit. And because your income is lower during those early years because Social Security is not turned on, it becomes easier to coordinate your withdrawals with Roth conversions. These Roth conversions can be done at a lower tax bracket, reducing required minimum distributions later on and lowering your lifetime tax bill overall. And because RMDs are one of the biggest tax problems retirees face, reducing those early creates a long-term savings that compounds for decades. This is why being mindful of where your withdrawals are coming from can make a big impact. It can provide improvements in retirement cash flows, better coordination across all income sources, and ultimately, a more efficient, more secure retirement. Strategic withdrawals optimize taxes, but now let's talk about how Roth conversion timing can help prevent future tax disasters. One of the biggest tax traps retirees face isn't during the early years of retirement. It's what happens later when required minimum distributions kick in. RMDs can suddenly force large taxable withdrawals, push you into higher tax brackets, and increase Medicare premiums. This can also cause more of your Social Security to be taxed. But the biggest mistake retirees make is waiting until those RMD years actually hit to do something about it. Dynamic planning solves this by allowing you to time Roth conversions strategically before RMDs ever begin. When you convert earlier in retirement, especially during years where your income is naturally lower, you reduce the size of those future RMDs. That means less forced income later, fewer bracket jumps, and far more control over your tax situation. And with a dynamic spending strategy, you potentially have the flexibility to adjust withdrawals so your tax bracket stays where you want it during the whole conversion process. This timing helps prevent the classic future tax disaster. Retirees hitting their 70s with large IRA balances that trigger massive RMDs. Strategic conversion spreads that tax burden out over time, often reducing the total lifetime taxes by tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And here's the key. Roth conversion timing is far more effective when paired with dynamic spending, because flexible spending gives you the room to manage your taxable income while converting. You're not locked into a rigid withdrawal percent that accidentally pushes you into the wrong tax bracket. You're able to coordinate conversions, income, and spending in a way that keeps your tax plan optimized year after year. This gives retirees something incredibly valuable: control. Control over when income's going to show up. Control over which accounts get taxed. Control over how much tax they'll owe in the future. And when conversions are done systematically and proactively, retirees end up with smaller RMDs, lower lifetime taxes, and often higher after-tax spending power throughout retirement. While Roth conversion timing protects against future tax issues, an adaptive framework brings all of your retirement strategies together into a coordinated system. When it comes to retirement, no single strategy works in isolation. This comprehensive adaptive framework brings together all of these moving pieces: dynamic spending, tax optimization, withdrawal sequencing, and Roth conversion timing into a single coordinated system. By integrating these strategies, retirees can respond to both predictable events, like required minimum distributions, and unexpected changes, such as market swings or personal circumstances. At its core, this framework is flexible but systematic. It adapts to evolving conditions, shifting tax laws, changes in portfolio performance, or adjustments in your lifestyle needs. Unlike static plans that assume a fixed income or withdrawal path, an adaptive approach continually recalibrates. This means you're not just reacting to change, you're anticipating it, positioning your retirement portfolio to maximize outcomes while minimizing risk. One of the most powerful aspects of this framework is it balances enjoyment and security. It allows retirees to maintain their desired lifestyle today while also planning for those long-term financial needs. By coordinating withdrawals, conversions, and your spending, retirees can often achieve higher lifetime spending without jeopardizing wealth preservation. So why is this framework more effective than traditional static planning? Static planning assumes a one-size-fits-all path, and once conditions shift, they can quickly become obsolete. In contrast, an adapted system thrives on change, optimizing decisions at every stage of your retirement. This systematic flexibility helps to provide confidence that comes from knowing your plan is designed to adjust intelligently, not emotionally, as life unfolds. So following a comprehensive adaptive framework is about more than maximizing returns or minimizing taxes. It's about coordinating every element of retirement planning into a cohesive strategy that delivers flexibility, efficiency, and resilience over the long haul. Now that you understand the comprehensive framework, let's look at the implementation strategy that puts this adaptive retirement spending into action. Implementing adaptive retirement spending isn't about following a single rule. It's about creating a system that responds to market conditions, taxes, and your personal circumstances. It begins with flexible spending guidelines that adjust based on portfolio performance and broader market dynamics. Instead of committing to a fixed annual withdrawal percentage, you allow your spending to ebb and flow in response to real-time conditions, your needs, and your lifestyle. Next, you coordinate withdrawal sequencing and Roth conversions with spending flexibility by planning when and how much to withdraw from taxable, tax-deferred, and Roth accounts. You can reduce unnecessary tax burdens and take advantage of favorable bracket opportunities. Every decision is interconnected, and ensuring each step supports the larger goal of optimal long-term outcomes. Systematic tax optimization is another key pillar. Adaptive implementation doesn't just react to taxes, it anticipates them. By monitoring income levels and potential tax bracket shifts, you can execute conversions or withdrawals at the most efficient moments, maximizing after-tax income while minimizing penalties or surprises. And the final and most critical element is ongoing monitoring and adjustment. Your personal circumstances, market conditions, and tax rules will inevitably change. And an adaptive strategy tracks these changes and recalibrates accordingly, always keeping your long-term optimization goals in focus. So what actually ensures that this implementation delivers the desired outcomes? It's the commitment to systematic flexibility rather than emotional reactions to short-term volatility. It's planning for adaptation, not rigid adherence to static withdrawal rules. It's integrating all strategies into a cohesive, adaptive system rather than treating each tactic in isolation. And it's working with professionals who understand the nuances of comprehensive adaptive planning rather than relying on traditional static retirement approaches. By following this implementation strategy, retirees gain the confidence that comes from knowing every spending and withdrawal decision is part of a coordinated and adaptable plan. One designed to optimize lifetime income, tax efficiency, and wealth preservation simultaneously. Now that you understand the dynamic spending strategy my clients would use if they could retire all over again, and how adaptive approaches to market conditions, taxes, and withdrawal sequencing creates superior retirement outcomes, you can implement flexible strategies that keep retirees financially secure decades longer. If you need more help with your retirement plan, our team has put together a comprehensive video that dives even deeper into adaptive retirement strategies. In this exclusive video, we break down exactly how to optimize your plan for your given situation. Just click the link below to watch and discover how to plan your ideal retirement. I'll see you in the next one.